Good morning. Thank you, Achal. Thank you, Sunil. And welcome, everyone. It's great to see all of you after such a long gap of doing virtual events and, just talking and not knowing if anybody is there, although we can see the attendees, but it's great to see everyone face to face. Thank you. I think Sunil really gave a great overview of how DataQuest has chronicled all the major events that have happened in the past 40 years. And, moving forward, there are, this industry, every time we feel that things are going down, it just kind of bounces back up with so many different new technologies, so much new action that, it doesn't fail to surprise us. So what I'm going to do is try to highlight some of the key trends that are really happening this year and beyond this year. So, essentially, if I were to just give an industry snapshot, India is, to become a $1 trillion digital economy by 2025, as per, the government of India has been talking about it. There have been so many new initiatives that have, happened. BharatNet, which is taking fiber connectivity to rural India, or, giving infrastructure status to data centers, or the push for 5G. I think all these moves are going in the right direction, and hopefully we will touch $1 trillion, in another 3 years' time. So that's there. And if I look at this year, it has been kind of the tipping point for the IT industry, because we witnessed a double-digit growth according to NASSCOM, at 15.7% growth, and we have touched $227 billion US, as the ICT industry. And it is all on the foundation of 3 strong pillars, which is exports, that includes hardware, it includes the domestic industry, and of course a third pillar, which is actually not really considered as part of the ICT number revenue value, but it has been a strong enough pillar and has seen strong growth over the past 2 years to be, to come out, and it is, we can all recognize that. Another really good thing that we have seen is, and of course, as Sunil mentioned, that the pandemic has also been good in a way, that the digital workforce, the entire workforce that India has also grown. We now have a global digital talent of 5 million people in India. Okay, so India is actually becoming a real digital innovation hub. We have the largest startup ecosystem. Although the startup revolution started, we're the 3rd largest startup hub in the country with more than 25,000 startups. And out of those, 100 plus have actually become unicorns. So that is the kind of growth that is really we are seeing as far as the ICT industry is concerned. And it is, of course, ICT industry is not, growing alone. It obviously is the enterprise spending that is contributing to it. It's the organizations, large enterprises, SME, government. Everyone is actually contributing to this growth, and we are seeing, an upward trend of this growth happening with the, spending on ICT actually increasing. The companies have actually increased their budgets on IT, tech spending, and it's no longer just about using ICT to kind of keep the lights on. It is actually also about, shifting to online business. We saw that happening over the past 2 years. We see omni-channel, we see a distributed work environment, something that many of us will probably be uncomfortable with. But today, I think it's very easy to just get on a Zoom call or, go to the cloud and start doing our work, no matter where we're sitting. So there's been a real change that we're seeing. And of course, companies are also looking at increasing the team size, the tech team size also, because they want to go digital. They want to kind of leverage on this growth. And, basically what we are seeing is that there's also a shift towards as a service-based model. Companies are actually looking at that and not just looking at capex and heavy investment, but also looking at as a service model is also happening. So while it's good to see an overview like that, but it's also good to see what kind of technologies are really shaping this industry. And I'd just like to put it across. While there can be many other technologies, I'd like to put it across as 10 key areas that are really, really developing and that are going to define our future. One is, of course, at the overarching thing is the business transformation. We saw a rapid acceleration of digital transformation across enterprises. But actually, if I look at digital transformation, it's more of business transformation, right? And that's what we've really seen as the overarching thing. And to support that business transformation is the foundation of devices and the infrastructure that is at the bottom. And in between this are various technologies that companies are actually using to kind of transform their business. And that's where, AI, ML or analytics or cloud, all these technologies kind of come in. So that's the overall thing as far as the future of, enterprise trend technologies are concerned. To go a little deeper, I think, if I look at business transformation cannot be, done in isolation. It requires, one, at the center is the digital transformation, but at the same time, you have to keep in mind the internal and external stakeholders of every organization, which is your employees and the customers. So we cannot see these two trends in isolation. While customer experience is important, employee experience is important, but if I were to look at business transformation, that it comprises of these three pillars: customer, digital transformation, and its employee experience. So that is true business transformation that is there, and we are seeing this happening. Although we will see very few cases who have actually undergone major business transformation, we do see cases of customer or digital or employee experience transformation, everywhere. But hopefully this is all going to tend to business transformation. And individually, if I were to look at customer experience, I think it's the digital customer that is first, that has to be looked at in order to be able to create employee engagement practices so that companies can actually understand the employee, the customer, and engage with them digitally. That is something that companies really need to do, and that is the future. Future of customer is the actual experience is digital first, and we are seeing trends towards that are happening. And of course, it's more about hyper-personalization, being able to offer a personalized experience to all the customers. Ultimately, that's what's really companies who are able to offer that kind of experience are the ones that are going to kind of grow. And in order to now that we are all in the online and digital world, there is so much of data being shared. So companies that are able to respect customer data and privacy are the ones who will be having greater loyalty amongst customers. So that is critical as far as customer experience is concerned. Cohesive omni-channel experience. While we heard the term omni-channel for a long time, that yes, we need to go omni-channel. We need to be present where our customers are. If the customer is on mobile, we need to be there. If the customer is online, we need to be there. Wherever the customer is, we need to be there. That's the omni-channel. But if I look at a cohesive omni-channel experience, that's what we are tending to now, where a conversation that is happening on one channel, continues on another channel as the customer moves, as you need to interact with the customer. That is true, cohesive omni-channel experience that really is required to be able to make the customer happy, to be able to engage with the customer. Currently, I think it's difficult to find those kind of examples, but that's where the industry is really tending to. That's what enterprises should really look at, to be able to integrate, their channels so that they can give a customer a more wholesome experience of their products and services. So similarly, like I said, digital transformation, as I mentioned already, whatever plans were there for digital transformation, 5 years down the line, they had to happen instantly during the pandemic. That was a major change that took place. It also required re-architecture of the entire, infrastructure, because suddenly people started working from home, everything went digital, standard practices as far as serving customers no longer applied. So the entire thing had to be re-architected, and that's where digital transformation really comes in. Likewise, I said that work from home became a practice. I'm sure many of you would still be working from home, or there must be in a hybrid kind of a mode, part-time, few days going to office and few days staying, at home and working from home. So there, what's required is to be able to look at the employee experience. It's not just that somebody who's working in the office till late night is the one who is doing all the work. There might be people who are sitting at home and doing a lot of work. So they need to be also recognized. Their timing also needs to be respected and recognized, because they're kind of sitting in isolation. So that's where the whole employee experience actually really comes in. You need to look at that, to be able to get employees productive, to make them motivated, to make them happy. It's required. Employee experience is a very key pillar for transforming a business. And of course, like I said, at the base is the infrastructure modernization. And since there are so many technologies that I talked about as trending technologies, it's not possible to have for them to host those technologies on a traditional infrastructure. It requires modernization. If you need to do cloud, you need to move to a hybrid multi-cloud environment, or to kind of look at AI and ML, implement that, look at analytics, or kind of look at a hybrid workplace where employees are no longer sitting inside the office, but they're actually working from anywhere. So the overall infrastructure needs a relook to be able to modernize it so that it can actually support all these technologies that can further help in business growth. To go a little deeper into AI ML, I think as you can see that we are seeing experts say that by 2024, 40% of enterprises would have implemented AI for critical business processes. We'll see tasks being automated, routine tasks being automated, and so much of data being generated that using traditional tools to analyze them would just not be possible to analyze this big data, which is where AI really comes in, because there'll be so many dimensions to data to analyze that you cannot do it without using AI. At the same time, one very critical, interesting trend is that the market dynamics are changing so fast that it's not possible to just use historical data. Okay, historical data is actually losing its value because what you saw in the past may not really hold now or may not hold true in the future. So to be able to predict the future, historical data may not really have much value. Okay, so which is where data modeling comes in, which is where AI comes in to look at data modeling, to be able to create synthetic data models that can actually look at predicting the future, and that's where things like digital twins come in. I'm sure that you would have heard of the technology for digital twins. So I'll just continue while the slide actually comes back. The idea is that historical value is actually historical data is losing its value. So you need to create synthetic data, synthetic models, and look at data and analyze, predict the future. At the same time, while you do that, using technologies like digital twins, which are now applicable not just for manufacturing but across multiple industries, because you can create synthetic models across any industry to be able to kind of predict what's really likely to happen. You have to kind of look at using AI responsibly so that it's ethical, things are not biased, and we're seeing a trend where companies are actually hiring ethicists, okay, or external auditors to kind of audit the entire modeling process. It's important to do that, and in order to be able to predict the future. Also, while there are so many different examples of AI that can be used, I think I'll just talk about two key examples of AI that I could see notable examples. One is an initiative called DAL.E by a company called OpenAI, which actually has created a neural network that allows you to convert text into images. Okay, so unfortunately the screen is not visible, otherwise you could have seen it here. But it's interesting to actually see that kind of an initiative where you just describe what the image you want and the network is able to create an image based on your natural language descriptions. That can have a really good impact on as even a layman can actually start creating images out of plain text. Another really critical thing is that if you're sitting in a meeting and you're presenting data to the management, to your boss, there can be, it will always happen that the management will come back and say that, I want to see this kind of data, or I want to see that kind of data. Now technology is being used where, Alexa, Siri, or Cortana, you can actually tell them to show you the data that you want. Okay, so therefore you don't need to go back out of the meeting and come back with a new plan, with new data. You can actually tell it on the fly that, hey, give me the market share for Delhi, give me the market share for some other city or geography, anything. It's natural language. You can tell it what kind of data you want and it will generate it on the fly, rather than you having to dig it out completely. So that was an interesting trend, and that is what's really happening as far as an interesting use case of AI. I thought it will be worth mentioning. Some examples that I said, a storefront that has the word OpenAI written on it, and there are images of OpenAI on the storefront, multiple storefronts, images are getting created just based on the text description. So that is what I meant by creating images from text. Cloud, of course, we've seen having 5 to 15% of their IT budgets for the cloud, and it's likely to grow even further. We are seeing private cloud adoption amongst large enterprises, followed by hybrid cloud. Digital natives are continuously using startups, are using cloud. SMEs are using cloud in a major way. So we're seeing that kind of an adoption of cloud. It's no new story, but it's just that it's likely to increase further. Blockchains are an important part of the trend. They've been around, but one key thing worth mentioning about blockchain is NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, which are basically crypto tokens which cannot be replicated, and they're stored in a blockchain. The sports and the celebs industry, for example, Amitabh Bachchan sold about 7 crore worth of NFTs last year, and likewise other celebs are following suit. And similarly, there are so many different enterprise NFT applications across different industries that are really taking place. Devices, 5G and IoT is we can look at them as separate trends, but the idea is to be able to use a combination of all of them for so many different innovations. We are seeing growth in devices. We are seeing and 5G as a major reason for that growth that is likely to happen in the future, and so many different innovations across logistics, healthcare, manufacturing, and so on. So we're seeing that as a trend with a lot of interesting innovations. Business process management is something that we hear, it's a decades-old thing, but the point is that it still continues, and now it's using newer tools, newer skill sets are required to be able to do business process management, and we're seeing 75% of BPM jobs actually will require new skill sets in this year. So there's a new change. Cybersecurity, we all know, is a key trend, right? And it's growing. Those are the key trends that we're likely to see impacting our business on a day-to-day basis in the future. But these are some of the future trends that are there. They'll develop, we'll see as they develop further. Okay, so I think, the point is that I think I skipped those slides because Aanchal and Sunil already talked about DataQuest and how it's completed 40 years and chronicled the entire journey of the ICT industry. And I am sure that moving forward we will also see chronicle the India touching the $1 trillion economy by 2025. So thank you so much for listening in. And